What's up, weekend warriors, and welcome to the Week 16 edition of the show. I am back, the commish, the content king. We have made it to the playoffs. Welcome to the four teams that have made it. Goodbye to the six teams that were eliminated. We'll get into it here shortly. And to say it came down to the wire is an understatement. Literally came down to Sunday Night Football to see who got in and who did not. And we'll get into that here shortly. It was a tight race. And unfortunately, a couple teams came up short. Fortunately, a couple teams made it through. So I had my week 15 recap here. I had Kevin over Terry, thinking Kevin would punch his ticket and just waltz into the playoffs. That was incorrect. Terry took him down. And Kevin, we were talking, I guess it was Saturday. He's like, me and you were pretty much in. I'm like, I don't know, man. It could get a little dicey. And sure enough, if my dad had beaten Booty and the way that the points shook out, my dad and Booty both had nice weeks. My dad would have leapfrogged Kevin and taken and claimed the fourth spot. But Booty with a huge win over Dean in a tight matchup to keep Dean out of the playoffs and keep Kevin in the playoffs. And Booty has been saying that he's waiting for the Domino's pizza or fruit basket or something to show up at his door, courtesy of Kevin. But still, he has not received anything yet. So we'll see if that's just lost in the mail or what the deal is. But so I had Kevin over Terry, incorrect. I had Dean over Booty, also incorrect. My other three matchups, I had Ott over Jake. That happened. I had Brett over Seaval. That happened. And I had myself over Chris. That happened. I was the highest score of the week. And it feels good to punch my ticket. So myself as the one seed, Otley as the second seed, Brett as the third seed, and Kevin as the fourth seed. Those are the playoff teams. 3-2 in my fantasy record that week, and 46-29. Let's give a polite applause here to the commish. 46-29. I do still have three more matchups to predict. So at best, I can get to 49-29. Really banner year for the Turnersville Sportsbook. From a gambling perspective, we've left a lot to be desired. That being said, I went 2-0 last week. Atlanta, my Thursday night king pick, 7 out of my last 9 on Thursday night. And then I had Buffalo money line, looked horrible at halftime, came back in a resurgence versus New England and took care of business. So 2-0, 13-7 on the year. And who will I pick tonight? So this might be my favorite segment of the entire podcast that I do. And it's introducing the four playoff teams and kind of how they got here and maybe, a little bit of their history in the league. So before I do that, I just want to, shout out to the losers this year. Chris has officially come in last place and will get his team named. He will also Venmo the winner some money for some crab cocktail or, maybe a little flatbread, a couple beers, whatever. Chris has graciously accepted last place at 4-11. My brother, climbing up the standings after a last place finish last year, solidifies ninth place. Valone in eighth. The agitator couldn't get it done. Lost his last 3 games. He had, some momentum coming out from that podcast the episode he was on, but unfortunately, pour one out for Chris. Hey, Terry, really strong end of the season. 2 wins, including a pivotal matchup to make it interesting against Kevin. My dad just missed the playoffs. Had a good season. It looks like he actually ended up third in points for, if I'm doing some math correctly. So some key injuries for my dad down the stretch. Good season for him. Came a little short. And Booty, kind of same thing. He might have benefited a little bit from some schedule luck this year. But nonetheless, 9-6, strong team. Pour one out for Boots. And shout out Booty for catapulting Kevin into the playoffs. So that brings me to the top 4 teams. I have these notes listed here. Kevin Lawson, the 4 seed, my opponent here in week 1. Kevin is a 2-time champion. He won the league in 2015 and he won the league most recently in 2017. He missed the playoffs in 2024. He came in last in 2023. And in fact, his last playoff appearance was in 2020 versus he made a finals appearance and lost to Pearson in the finals in 2020. So call it like it is. Kevin's had a low in success in this league. He's still a two-time champion. So he's a formidable opponent, but he is back and better than ever as the 4 seed here and looking to get back in the finals. It's been a while. We'll see if he can do it. Moving on to Brett. Brett is the 3 seed, most points in the league. For some reason, the fantasy gods love giving Brett a tough schedule. It all worked out, Brett. Here you are as the 3rd seed against Otley, fighting for your chances. And Brett is a one-time champion. He won in 2018. He reminded me, I saw Brett this week, and I didn't even think about it, but he reminded me that it's been a playoff drought for him. In fact, his last playoff appearance was in 2018 when he won the league. So on a good note, I suppose, last time you were in it, you won. On a bad note, I suppose, you've had a stretch of mediocrity. I actually went back and looked at the history. You never were really in last. You never were really in 9th. You were kind of floating around. It's tough for the standings because the way ESPN and some of the league history that I have documented orders the standings like, it factors in the toilet bowl. So like you could really says you're in 5th, but you really might have come in 8th, and then you won a couple meaningless games in the toilet bowl. So you kind of hovered between 5 and 7, 5th and 7th place, rather, I should say. But you're back, Brett, and you're ready to make a name for yourself, and we'll see what happens here this year. And speaking of another person who hasn't been in the dance here for a little while, Otley, who I was talking to him, man, he thought he lost the magic. I mentioned this on the pod. Is fantasy football for me? Has my luck run out? Otley is a 3-time champion, the one and only 3-time champion in this league. He won in 2008. He won the next year again in 2009. And his most recent win was in 2012. In 2021 was his last playoff appearance, and it was a first-round exit. So, I mean, if you hear what I'm saying here, these 3 teams, the last playoff appearance between Kevin, Brett, and Ott is 2021. So there's some new faces this year. I mean, my brother's been in it. I've been in it. Terry's been in it. Vallone's been in it. Some of recent memory, of recent success in the league. And it's good to see some new faces here. And that brings you to yours truly, the 1 seed. Last championship, let me think about it. Last season, looking for a back-to-back title. I am a 2-time champion. The other time I won was in 2021. Listen, it's no secret I've had a run of recent success. This is my 3rd straight playoff appearance. I have not missed since 2022. So I am the anomaly of the 4 of us where I have been in it lately. And I really, really want to win, guys. It doesn't matter that I've won before. I really, really want to win. I had my Jaden Daniels jersey on last week to harness good juju and energy. I'm wearing my Cooper Kupp jersey that solidified my 2021 championship years ago. So I'm back in the dance, and I'm looking for a repeat championship. Let's see what happens. All right, so before we get into the matchups, that's what you guys want to hear. I'm going to give my Thursday night pick. The Rams playing Seattle. The Rams missed their flight last night, got delayed. They got in late. Sean McVay had a kid earlier this week. He's super distracted, changing diapers the whole 9 yards. On top of that, Devontae Adams is out. They go to Seattle, one of the toughest environments in football to play in. And somehow all that, they're still only plus 1.5. Seattle needs this game. To me, it comes down to Matt Stafford versus Sam Darnold. I've seen Sam Darnold crumble before. Last time he played the Rams, he threw 4 picks. Matt Stafford is 6-0 in Seattle in his career. Give me Stafford and the Rams plus 1.5. That's my official pick on Thursday night. I'll be riding with you all tonight. It's no coincidence that I'm rocking my Cooper Kupp jersey. And I might as well throw out my other pick. a team that's been riding hot lately, a win over the Ravens 2 weeks ago, smashed the Dolphins last week. They go to Detroit. I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Detroit has not looked good all year, kind of ham and egging it. Lost in LA last week. They're at home. They're minus 6.5-point favorites. Steelers are playing above their skis. They lose this week. The Lions roll. Give me Lions minus 6.5 is my other pick. All right. I actually, for the first time in a long time, have not written down who I think is going to win these matchups. I was more focused on the illustrious history of these fine gentlemen and kind of where they came from, this, that, and the other. So I'll be looking at their matchup here for the first time. I've glanced at them. But, I mean, Otley's team is kind of a story of, like, has gotten healthy. At one point this year, he had Olave and no one else at the wide receiver position. He's got Lamb back. He's got Evans back. The Kyle Pitts performance last week on Thursday was crazy. I think the most points scored at the tight end position in like 25 or 40 years, like depending on what kind of league format you play in. I saw names like Kellen Winslow Jr., when they were comparing some people. So just crazy. The two tight end set has been working for him. Brandon Aubrey has been working for him. He's going to need Hurts. And Josh Jacobs is banged up. I will say, and I said this last week, I didn't think that Otley's team was coming into the playoffs very hot. That being said, he missed high score of the week by 1 point last week and scored a ton of points. And I think, with the receivers that we just mentioned, he needs a big game from Hurts. Will Josh Jacobs play? Otley has a good team. He's definitely deserved of the playoffs, 3 wins in a row. But can he beat Brett? Brett on the other side came in, I would say, not really leaking oil, but now kind of all of a sudden, little banged up team with Javonte hurting his neck, shoulder. Rashee Rice, who I'm counting on in another league, now all of a sudden in concussion protocol with the Chiefs having nothing to play for. That's extremely worrisome. We've talked about the quarterback position for Brett all year long. He said to me the other day, I kind of just wish I had Amon-Ra at this point, right? And I told him that big trade, it was like, at one point, Brett won right off the bat. Then Booty won the trade. Then Brett won right off the bat. Guys, this is why you don't veto trades. And this is why, I could think one way and you could think another. Until the dust settles, you don't know where it's going to lie. I can tell you that, collusion's not allowed, right? But you really never know. If two managers want to make a trade and kind of see where they stand, I guess at this point it's fair to say Booty probably won that trade, but he's not in the playoffs. So take that for what it's worth. But, Ibuka, been pedestrian. Now Evans back. Brett needs to start off strong tonight with Njigba. He really needs to start off strong with Njigba and Stafford. I think that Njigba will have a big week. The Rice injury scares me a little bit, but I still think that Brett has enough firepower in this matchup. Derrick Henry, Sunday Night Football. I think it could be – this league has a way of making things poetic, and it looks like that as of this minute, that's the last person that plays in this matchup is a Derrick Henry Sunday night and a George Kittle Monday night. I am going to go out on a limb and say Brett is down and needs points from those guys and gets them. And that is my pick. Brett going to the finals over Otley. And then my matchup versus Kevin. I mean, guys, you know where I'm going with this. Would I predict myself to lose? Maybe. I will say this. Of all the matchups, I could play Brett. I could play Ott. I could have played my dad if he made it in. I'm pretty sure I got the toughest matchup possible, even as the 1 seed. Kevin, bad week from Jahmyr Gibbs last week. Not a fantastic week from Achane last week. And I think those guys are both going to bounce back this week. I just told you I think the Lions are going to win by a lot. Kev, you could probably bench Jahmyr Gibbs if you want, if you're thinking about it. But, in all seriousness, Kev's team is strong. Got 50 points from Trevor Lawrence last week. Didn't see that one coming. He's been running pretty hot. Tough matchup for him this week. It starts on Saturday with A.J. Brown. I really would prefer him not to go off, but man, he's weird. 2 for 40 or like 8 for 111 and 2. He scares me on Saturday night. He really, really scares me. For me, it's been a matter of can I pull the right strings? It's the same story for my team. I have 7 guys where I got to start about 3 of them as far as decisions. Last week I pulled the right string with Tyrone Tracy. I've been riding hot with Michael Wilson, but now Marvin Harrison Jr. is back. I've been benching guys like Metcalf, McLaurin, Hampton, Breece Hall. Like, all of those guys are on the table this week, especially with the way that Pickens has been playing. My brain's in a pretzel. I have lineup decisions. I hate lineup decisions. Some people would say it's a good problem to have. Obviously, I'm starting Jamar Chase. Obviously, I'm starting, Travion Henderson, rolling with Jacoby Beef Brisket, who's been super solid. But, it is there are some question marks at the wide receiver and running back position for sure. What do I want to happen? Well, I really do like it when Travion runs for like a 60-yard touchdown. That makes me really happy. I'm hoping that I can get enough firepower, maybe a Jamar Chase huge game. He's kind of been a little bit leaving some meat on the bone. And I just hope that, I can outscore Kevin. I am worried about this matchup. ESPN gives me a 41% chance. I'm predicting myself to get it done. I've had magic in the playoffs. I've had magic as of late. I got to keep my train rolling, and I think I'm going to find a way to get it done and beat my brother-in-law, Kevin. We will see how it goes. Guys, I can't wait to talk to you next week on the show, and we'll do a finals prediction. I wish you all luck. Next Wednesday is Christmas Eve. I'll figure out a way to put something out there for you guys. The Content King never disappoints. Go Rams. Go me. Later.